Alrighty, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Today in this video we will be talking about Fortnite Chapter 4. So I'm sure we were all surprised when the announcement was made that Fortnite Chapter 4 would be coming a lot earlier than some of us, including myself, expected. And in this video I'm going to be talking about what I believe may be coming in terms of theories, some evidence for those things, and just generally what I hope comes in the next chapter. You know, it felt like we had a ton of time to work this out, but as of today there is exactly 2 weeks left of this chapter, which is crazy to think. Will we be getting a new map? Will we be getting a totally new loot pool? I don't know, but today I'm going to give my input on what I think should happen and will happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy the video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get into what I believe will be happening in Fortnite Chapter 4. So, the first thing that we're going to be talking about is my theory for the event and what will happen and why the whole fracture theme is going on here. So, we know that Paradigm right now has just come back from her reality, and I have not finished all the challenges, unfortunately, so I do not know the extent of it, but judging off of what I already do know, basically she knows that reality is going to end and we're all going to die. So, I have this theory on how we're going to get to the fractured part. So, the prevailing theory right now is that a lot of the old maps will either appear in the event or will basically combine to make one ultimate map for Chapter 4, which I think sounds awesome. Maybe not Chapter 2, because I hated the Chapter 2 map, but the Chapter 1 map coming back in some way, shape, or form will be really cool, especially if it means we don't have to also lose all of this amazing map we have now. But basically, the prevailing theory, is that those are all going to combine. And here is my theory, personally, on what could totally happen in the event. So, Paradigm is gone in her reality, and she has been talking to people who are also very smart and high-tech like her, and basically they create this sort of time machine-like thingy, because the only way to stop the Chrome from infecting the map is to go back in time before the Chrome infected it, because you can't just erase it. It's like corrupted the whole map, so the only way to basically get rid of it, instead of trying to like scrub it with bleach or whatever, you have to actually go back in time before it even happened. So the Paradigm does this and tries to go back in time, but she ends up going too far back. Something messes up, or maybe the Herald attacks, and we end up going too far back in time. Now, if you didn't know, the map we're on right now is the OG map, but just in the future. So we're technically on the OG map right now, just rearranged after the end event happened at the end of Chapter 1. So instead of going back in time to before the Chrome spreads, we accidentally go back in time before the end event happened. So now we're on the OG map, and something messes up again, and basically this map and the flip side and then the future version of this map all get corrupted and basically all combine into one, and we get this massive conglomerate, basically amalgamation of all the different maps together. That's just sort of like a very simple, easy to understand way of putting it, because that's probably not what's going to happen. I just think that would make a lot of sense to happen, because Paradigm is part of the Seven and they're very high tech and stuff, and I just believe that it's so corrupted now that the only way to stop it would be to go back before it ever even happened. But since this map is the new version of the old map, then it would make perfect sense for the fracture to mean fracturing between the realities and the time and the different maps and combining them all together. That's just my prevailing theory on what's going to happen in the event. Or, if I was in charge of Epic Games, that's what I would do, but then again, it's Fortnite, they're going to surprise us, and honestly, there's never really a good way to predict what's going to happen, which I think is a good thing. Next, we're going to talk about one of the reasons why I think so much OG stuff is actually really plausible next chapter. Now, I'm sure I sound like a broken record, just another guy on YouTube basically saying, oh, OG Fortnite's going to come back, OG Fortnite's going to come back. But think about it. We've had an entire chapter where sure they've unvaulted old guns, but the main guns, the SCAR, the pump, the TAC, the normal SMGs, the bolt action snipers, none of them have actually fully been unvaulted for the normal game mode once. And you would think that they would at least unvault one of those base OG guns at least once for the entire year that this chapter lasted. So I believe that maybe one of the reasons why they haven't unvaulted anything is because they're saving it for a special occasion, such as a new chapter. So maybe they quote unquote deprived us. I think that's a pretty good way to put it. Deprived, basically. Not that this chapter was bad. This chapter was absolutely fantastic. I just think that they could have used a couple more OG things. But I think one of the reasons that they did that was not so they could be a horrible company and piss off their fan base like they would have done in Chapter 2. But I think this time around, they were basically just sort of giving us some time away from the items so that they can make it extra special when they actually did come back. Which is kind of dumb, but at the same time, I totally understand the marketing behind that. So if that is the case, whatever. I just want my 200 pumps back. But yeah, basically, it doesn't really make a ton of sense that they wouldn't bring back any of those guns when basically the entire Fortnite community is in high demand. And the only thing that like they actually brought back that we wanted was the 200s with snipers. People wanted those back, and they brought those back. Other than that, I don't think they really brought back any like OG or even like oldish mechanics that they took out. So I think that they're waiting for the next chapter to basically surprise us all with all this stuff, which also adds to the OG map coming back. We could have a bunch of different loot pools, and one of them is like the OG map, and maybe only the OG map spots you land at drop like pumps and scars, which would be lame, but at the same time, I mean, it would make sense. I just want to get my pump every game. But yeah, I just think that it would be really, really, really cool if they did that. But at the same time, I'm not saying that just because I want it to happen. I'm saying that because why would they not give us pretty much anything like core OG basically this entire chapter, besides some of the POIs, if we weren't supposed to get OG stuff back? And also, have you noticed the 2 rifts in the sky on this map right now? Another thing that adds to the OG stuff coming back theory is the fact that randomly at the beginning of this season, the Loot Lake house was back. Now, this wasn't just the Loot Lake house, because unlike the other POIs where they had basically been changed to fit the style of this chapter, the Loot Lake house wasn't. All the terrain around it, and I think even the graphics, if I'm not mistaken, look about the same as they did back in Chapter 1. And it's almost like it was pulled straight out of Chapter 1 and thrown onto the map where it would have been before, which makes me think that maybe the Paradigm was doing some tests in her reality and was rifting a couple old things back to this map to make sure that it worked. Because the other rift is Grim Gables, and while Grim Gables certainly wasn't on the OG map, the first thing I thought when I saw it was, oh my gosh, is this a building from an OG POI? Because the style of it looks exactly like the OG map. Something about it looks super, super OG to me, which makes me think that maybe this was like before Shifty Shafts was built or whatever, and because it's over Shifty Shafts. But that's besides the point. I think that there is a high chance of OG stuff coming back, and if it doesn't, then I'm going to be surprised. Not really in a good way though, because I don't know how they couldn't do all this OG stuff if they've sort of been building up to it and hinting at it for so long. So the next thing I'm going to talk about, and the last thing in this video, is going deep into what we're going to get with the map. So obviously I've expressed how the popular opinion right now is it's going to be a mix of all the other maps, obviously with new and changed POIs. But here's the thing. This is what makes me think that the going back in time thing is the only way that we can have all of this happen, because the Chapter 2 map, if you go back in the end of Chapter 2 event, and people have taken their cameras outside of the boundaries basically and gone to the different parts of the map while the event was happening, and it was actually getting blown up, like the abductors were basically shooting at the POIs and blowing them up. So the entire map is completely obliterated for Chapter 2. Chapter 1 is in the past, so how are we going to fit these together if one of them is completely destroyed and one of them doesn't exist anymore? So basically expect a conglomerate of all the different maps, however it may come to fruition. And probably not too much of Chapter 2. I can't imagine they would put too much of the Chapter 2 map in when not many people liked it. Unless maybe it was like the parts with like Salty and Pleasant on it. Or like the Agency or something. They could do cool POIs that people liked and everybody basically enjoyed. But I think most of that map, there's probably not going to be a lot of, because nobody really liked it besides a couple POIs from a couple seasons. But yeah, they could just do lots of popular cool POIs. Keeping some of the favorite ones from this one. Maybe they keep like Tilted or something in. Maybe they do a couple different biomes from the Chapter 1 map, like the volcano gets replaced with the actual volcano, and then maybe Paradise Palms comes back. Fingers crossed, that's my favorite POI of all time. But yeah, basically I imagine a conglomerate of all the different maps together, which I think sounds like a super cool idea. Obviously, that's Chapter 2, but I think that in the end, this is going to be one of the craziest things they've ever done with the game, because we're not just going to get a new map. We've seen a new map. And we have a great map right now. Why would they just end it and just bring a new one out a year later? Just because Creative 2.0 is coming out doesn't mean that they have to make an entire new chapter, which leads me to believe that it is going to be something special, like all the maps coming together. Fortnite has been around for 5 years after all. It would be a perfect time to have this happen. I think that in the end, we are not going to be disappointed with what comes with the map or in the loophole. I think that Chapter 4 is kind of scary because we've never had something like this happen before. And there wasn't a lot of hype built up to the end because people were like, oh, this leak says that we might go into Chapter 4. Oh, this thing says Chapter 3, Season 5. And I was like, there's no way, man. This chapter is too good. I don't understand why they would ever just push another one out that quick. But here we are. So it has to be something special. I don't believe that they're trying to go into a routine where we just get a new chapter every year, because that's kind of lame, honestly. It's a lot more surprising to like not know when it's going to come next. But if we don't stay with any of this chapter at all or go back in time and they give us this whole new map, then it doesn't make sense why they would have kept this chapter so short. Of course, there is a lot of things that have happened. More has happened in this year of Fortnite than probably any other time in Fortnite's history. So I guess there is that. But it's an amazing chapter with an absolutely breathtaking map. So I don't understand why they would just give it all up just to bring another map out. So there has to be some form of this fracturing involving OG stuff and everything mixing. Because, I mean, why would every single person in the community think that if it wasn't going to happen? I'm going to post a couple more videos before Chapter 4 comes out, and you guys are free to watch those if you would like. I am recording this video on CapCut. This is my first time not using iMovie to edit a video because I was so sick of iMovie taking like 4 days to download my clips and being so trash that I decided to try something new, and this is absolutely fantastic so far. So tell me what you guys think about it. Tell me if you have any problems with it, and if you have any editing software for an iPhone that you think would be good, go ahead and tell me in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless your day, and I will see you all in Chapter 4. And if these theories are right, then oh my goodness, amen. I got it right, as I have in the past. But normally I would put these theories and stuff and predictions for the next season at the end of my season reviews, but I thought this was too big of a deal and I had too much content here to slap at the end of another video. So yeah, that's gonna be all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in a couple more videos before Chapter 3, but after then I'll see you in Chapter 4. Peace.